Hello and welcome to Star Lens, your trusted source for the latest news and updates from the world of royalty. I'm your host, and today we're bringing you an exclusive deep dive into a developing story that's shaking the very foundations of the British monarchy. Stay with us as we uncover what's really happening behind the palace walls. Prince Harry is in serious trouble. And this time it's not coming from newspapers, TV shows, or family whispers behind palace walls. This is coming from the very center of Britain's power, Westminster. It started quietly, the kind of quiet that only happens before something historic happens. A whisper moving through political hallways, not gossip magazines. And at first, it sounded almost impossible to believe. Prince Harry versus the Crown. Again, another round, another headline, another family mess, right? Wrong. Because this wasn't a public relations blow-up. This wasn't damage control. This was a formal action inside the House of Lords of the organization that exists to protect royal tradition. And now that same organization is discussing something unthinkable. Just a few years ago, taking away Prince Harry's royal title. Let that sink in. Not a small punishment, not another statement from Buckingham Palace, not silence and patience of title removal. The Duke of Sussex, the last official connection tying Harry to the monarchy, suddenly on the chopping block. And here's where the tone changes, because this isn't about feelings. It's about power, about legacy, about whether someone can destroy every royal bridge, pack up, move across the ocean, publicly attack the organization that made them famous, and still keep the crown-branded name. That's the real question Parliament is now asking. 4 years, the monarchy stayed quiet, almost painfully quiet. Interviews came and went. Accusations were made public. A book was released, Netflix cameras rolled, and through it all, the Crown did what it always does: nothing. Silence, restraint, tradition. But Parliament doesn't work on emotions. It works on rules. And now lawmakers are no longer watching from the sidelines. They are stepping in. Because from their point of view, this isn't a family fight anymore. It's a constitutional problem. A prince who no longer lives in Britain, no longer serves the crown, no longer follows royal rules, yet still carries a title that gives him influence, access, and authority everywhere he goes. That title opens doors in Hollywood, in politics, in business, in rooms where being just Harry wouldn't be enough. Take the title away and everything changes. Before we continue with this shocking story, make sure you're subscribed to Star Lens and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on the royal family's most important developments. Here's where the conversation changes, and not in Harry's favor. Inside Parliament, lawmakers aren't throwing around dramatic words lightly. These are people trained to choose language carefully. So, when a phrase like symbolic treason starts circulating, it's not meant to be flashy. It's meant to be exact. And no, this doesn't mean Harry committed a crime. It means something worse. Symbolic treason is Parliament's way of saying you may not have broken the law, but you broke the trust. You attacked the organization that gave you legitimacy, protection, and status. And you did it while still benefiting from its name. From Parliament's perspective, that's the ultimate insult. For years, Harry publicly criticized the monarchy. He questioned its honesty. He accused it of cruelty. He described it as harmful and broken. And yet through all of that, he continued to move through the world as the Duke of Sussex. That contradiction is the problem. Because in Britain, royal titles aren't costumes you put on when it's convenient. They're symbols of duty, of restraint, of loyalty. You don't get to tear the house down and still keep the keys. That's why MPs are no longer debating emotions. They're debating damage to the monarchy, damage to public trust, damage to the meaning of royal titles themselves. And in their eyes, Harry crossed that line a long time ago. Now, we get to the part Parliament finds truly unforgivable: the money. Because Harry didn't just walk away from royal life, he turned it into a business model. Every major deal since his exit carries the same branding: Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Not just Harry, not just Meghan, not private citizens trying to live quietly. Royal titles front and center. From streaming deals to podcasts to books to public appearances, the royal connection isn't subtle. It's strategic. That title opens doors that would otherwise stay shut. It gives instant credibility, instant prestige, instant attention. Parliament has a word for this: title laundering. The idea that royal status is being washed through commercial businesses to create influence, profit, and power without any of the responsibility that normally comes with it. And here's the part that really angers lawmakers. Working royals are not allowed to profit from their titles. Royalty is meant to serve, not sell. But Harry and Meghan flipped that rule on its head. They stepped away from duty, kept the branding, and made money from the image. From Parliament's perspective, that's not independence. That's exploitation. And once royal titles become marketing tools, the entire system is at risk. Because if one prince can do it, what stops others? That's why this isn't personal, it's structural. This story keeps getting more intense. If you're finding this investigation valuable, please subscribe to StarLens and share this video with anyone who follows royal news. Your support helps us bring you these in-depth reports. If money lit the fuse, politics was the explosion. There is one rule every royal understands from birth. Stay neutral. No public political positions, no endorsements, no interference. Why? Because the monarchy survives by standing above politics, not inside it. Harry broke that rule loudly. From public comments criticizing foundational principles to aligning himself with political causes overseas to stepping into cultural and political debates far outside Britain. Harry didn't just speak as a private citizen. He spoke as a royal. And that's the problem. Because when a titled British duke inserts himself into foreign political discussions, it creates a constitutional headache. Parliament doesn't care about his opinions. They care about the title attached to them. Lawmakers began asking an uncomfortable question. Why is a British royal title being used in political conversations outside the UK? That's where the phrase constitutional threat enters the discussion. Not because Harry is powerful enough to overthrow anything, but because precedent matters. Titles are meant to unify, not divide, to represent the state, not personal ideology. And once Parliament reached that conclusion, the direction became clear. This wasn't about punishing Harry. It was about protecting the crown from being turned into a political weapon. And at that point, the gears were already turning. Just when things were already bad, something small, almost petty, made everything worse. A gift basket, polite, decorative, seemingly harmless until people noticed what was written on the card with the compliments of Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. That single line landed like a match tossed onto dry leaves. Because here's the part that matters. Meghan was not supposed to be using HR. That wasn't a suggestion. It was an agreement made directly with Queen Elizabeth herself. Her Royal Highness is not a decorative title. It's reserved strictly for working royals actively serving the crown. Harry and Meghan stepped back. That meant no duties and no HR. So when that title appeared again, Parliament didn't see a misunderstanding. They saw defiance. Two lawmakers already questioning whether royal titles were being abused. This felt like confirmation. Proof that rules were being bent, that boundaries were being tested, that agreements with the monarchy were optional, at least in California. Inside Buckingham Palace, frustration hardened. This wasn't about etiquette anymore. It was about control. Who gets to decide what royal titles mean? The institution or the individuals who left it? That gift basket didn't just irritate people, it strengthened the case. We're halfway through this explosive report. Don't forget to subscribe to StarLens and turn on notifications. We're committed to bringing you the truth behind every royal headline. And then came the moment that truly sealed Harry's fate. The public turned, not the tabloids, not commentators, the people. Polls began showing something startling. A clear majority of Britons wanted Harry stripped of his title. Support didn't just dip, it collapsed. Even groups once sympathetic now felt betrayed. But the most damaging blow came from Sussex itself, the very place that gives Harry his title. Residents began signing the petition in droves, saying the same thing again and again. He doesn't represent us anymore. Not Britain, not Sussex, not the crown, just himself. That's when Parliament stopped hesitating. Because in Britain, titles aren't personal brands. They're meant to represent people, places, responsibility. When the people tied to that title reject you, the title becomes hollow. At that point, Parliament wasn't leading the charge. It was following the will of the public. And when public opinion and political authority align, history usually follows. Throughout all of this, one thing stood out more than any statement ever could. King Charles didn't rush to defend his son. He didn't issue emotional pleas. He didn't intervene publicly at all. And that silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. Because if the king stepped in, it would look personnel, father. But if Parliament acted on its own, the decision would carry the full weight of the institution. Behind the scenes, that distinction mattered. And then there was Prince William. No protest, no objections, no softening of the blow. To William, this wasn't about brotherhood. It was about preservation, protecting the crown, protecting the future monarchy, making it clear that royal titles are not shields you can hide behind while attacking the system itself. As the future king, William's position was unmistakable. This behavior would not be tolerated under his reign. This wasn't drama, it was a warning. As we approach the conclusion of this report, remember to subscribe to Star Lens, we're your go-to source for comprehensive royal coverage that goes beyond the headlines. Here's the part people don't expect. If Harry loses his title, it won't happen with fireworks. There won't be shouting. There won't be emotional speeches. It will happen quietly on paper in ancient halls through motions, votes, and signatures that carry centuries of authority. That's how institutions end fairy tales. Because once legitimacy is gone, nothing else matters. Not fame, not money, not storytelling. The royal mystique, the thing that made everything sparkle, disappears overnight. No duke, no HR, no illusion. Just Harry, a man who tried to burn down the house he came from and then sell the ashes. And yet, this still isn't the end. With Prince William preparing for the crown, with Meghan's title now openly questioned, with Parliament no longer patient, the real fallout may still be ahead. Because when the crown decides you no longer represent it, you don't get the last word. The institution does, and it always speaks last. Thank you for watching Star Lens. This story is far from over and we'll be here to bring you every development as it unfolds. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Star Lens. Hit the like button and leave a comment below telling us what you think about this unprecedented situation. Will Parliament actually strip Prince Harry of his title? What will this mean for the future of the monarchy? Share your thoughts with our community. Until next time, this is Star Lens, keeping you informed on the stories that matter most in the royal world. We'll see you in the next.